I'm continuing reading from Ephesians chapter 2, and we read in our last session verse 1, and I'll reread that. It says, Paul writing says, "And you hath he quickened or made alive who were dead in trespasses and sins, wherein," verse 2, "wherein time past you walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now works in the children of disobedience, among whom also we all had our conversation," or our manner of life is really better translated that way, "our manner of life in times past in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath." This is talking about Yahuwah's wrath. "Children of wrath, even as others." It says that in times past, you and I, before we were born from above, before we were born of the Ruach, we walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air. It says the spirit that now works in the children of disobedience. That's a perfect description of you and I before we receive the Ruach, or the spirit of Yahuwah. We were fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind. And we're by nature, notice that, we were by nature children of wrath. What that's talking about is that, I've shared this in other teachings, but if we don't think it's unusual, for a dog to act like a dog. We don't think it's unusual for a dog to do what a dog does, let's say bark, roll over or do certain things. We don't think that's unusual because that's the nature of the dog to act that way. Well, it's the nature of a sinner to act like a sinner. It's natural that a child of the devil would act like a child of the devil. But see, that's why you had to be born from above in order to get his spirit, his Ruach, that we could become partakers of the divine nature, of his nature. And that's why he's given us of his spirit in order to accomplish that we are now partakers of the divine nature, that we're no longer partakers of the spirit that now works in the children of disobedience. See, now a lot of people have a lot of questions when you say things like this because they know that they still sin, they still miss it, they still make mistakes in their lives. and Paul deals with this in the book of Romans, but it talks about your flesh hasn't experienced redemption yet. We're still living in a fallen state in the flesh, but on the reality of the redemption of the Ruach HaKodesh. Therefore, the scripture says, "Therefore, if any man be in Mashiach, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away, and behold, all things have become new." Now, this is not something that's going to happen in the future. This is talking about what's happened to you and I as a believer, that on the inside, the man that you really can't see, there is a new man on the inside of me that's born again, not of corruptible seed, but of incorruptible. That he's also created in righteousness and true set-apartness. You'll find this in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 24. Paul said, "Put on the new man, which after Yahuwah is created in righteousness and true holiness," or set-apartness. In other words, we're to allow that new man that lives on the inside of us to dominate this flesh. That's why Paul said to walk in the Ruach and you won't fulfill the lusts of the flesh. See, if you're a new creature in Mashiach, then you allow the new man to dominate your life, dominate your flesh. And I know that we do sin, we do miss it because we do have the weakness of the flesh to deal with. But I can assure you this, that if you will walk in the Spirit, you won't fulfill the lusts of the flesh. If you begin to do spiritual things, by the way, you have to work at this. You have to, as the scripture says, "Let us labor, therefore, to enter into the rest." And the labor that we have is to continue to feed upon spiritual things, to hear the word, to pray, to seek Yahuwah, and that will help you and I to walk in the Spirit, and we won't fulfill the lust of the flesh. May the words of Yahuwah encourage you today and bring peace and encouragement to you today in all things. Please share this with others, and share it on Facebook with your friends, and that they might also receive and be blessed as well. Thank you for joining me. I love you. Yahuwah loves you. And we'll see you on our next session. Shalom.